I never thought much about the house across the street. It was just another old, weathered home in a neighborhood full of them. The kind of place with overgrown bushes, peeling paint, and a porch light that flickered on and off like a dying heartbeat. But that all changed the night I saw him. The stranger in the window. It started innocently enough. I was sitting in my living room, scrolling through my phone, when I noticed movement across the street. I glanced up, and there he was, a man standing in the upstairs window of the abandoned house. He was tall, with a gaunt face and hollow eyes that seemed to stare right through me. I froze, my phone slipping from my hand and clattering onto the floor. When I looked back, he was gone. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe it was a trick of the light, or my imagination running wild after one too many late-night horror movies. But deep down, I knew what I saw, and I couldn't shake the feeling that those eyes had been fixed on me. The next night, it happened again. I was in the kitchen, washing dishes, when I felt that same prickling sensation on the back of my neck. I turned, and there he was, standing in the same window. This time he was closer, close enough that I could see the faint outline of a smile on his thin lips. My heart raced, and I quickly shut the blinds, trying to convince myself it was just a neighbor or a squatter. But the house had been empty for years. Everyone in the neighborhood knew that. Over the next few days, I started noticing other things. The flickering porch light would stay on longer, as if it were watching me. The overgrown bushes seemed to shift, their shadows stretching toward my house like grasping fingers. And then there were the sounds. Soft, rhythmic tapping on my windows at night, like someone was trying to get my attention. I tried to ignore it. I really did, but the tapping grew louder, more insistent, until one night I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed a flashlight and stepped outside, determined to prove to myself that it was just the wind or a tree branch. The moment I crossed the street, the tapping stopped. The house loomed in front of me, its windows dark and lifeless. I hesitated, then climbed the creaky steps to the porch. The front door was slightly ajar. I pushed it open, the hinges groaning in protest. The air inside was thick and stale, like the house had been holding its breath for years. I shone my flashlight around the room, revealing peeling wallpaper, broken furniture, and a thick layer of dust covering everything. It was exactly what I expected, until I heard the footsteps. They were soft at first, barely audible over the sound of my own breathing. But as I moved deeper into the house, they grew louder, more deliberate. Someone was upstairs. My heart pounded in my chest as I climbed the staircase, each step creaking under my weight. The hallway at the top was pitch black, the beam of my flashlight barely cutting through the darkness. That's when I saw him. He was standing at the end of the hall, his gaunt face illuminated by the faint glow of my flashlight. His smile was wider now, almost grotesque, and his eyes, those hollow, empty eyes, were locked on mine. I stumbled backward, nearly tripping over my own feet, and ran out of the house as fast as I could. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his face. That terrible smile burned into my mind. The next morning, I called the police. They searched the house but found nothing. No signs of forced entry, no evidence that anyone had been living there. They told me it was probably just a prank, some kids messing around, but I knew better. The tapping stopped after that. And for a while, things seemed to go back to normal. But then I started seeing him everywhere. In the grocery store, at the park, even in my own backyard. He was always just out of reach, always watching me with that same hollow stare. I tried to convince myself it was stress, that my mind was playing tricks on me. But the more I saw him, the more real he became. One night, I woke up to the sound of my bedroom door creaking open. I sat up, my heart racing, and there he was, standing in the doorway. His smile was gone now, replaced by a look of pure malice. He took a step toward me, and I screamed, scrambling out of bed and running to the other side of the room. But when I turned around, he was gone. I moved out of that house a week later. I couldn't take it anymore. The constant feeling of being watched, the fear that he would appear again at any moment. I thought leaving would make it stop, but it didn't. Last night I saw him again. I was in my new apartment, unpacking boxes, when I felt that familiar prickling sensation on the back of my neck. I turned, and there he was, standing in the window across the street. His smile was back, wider than ever, and his eyes, those hollow, empty eyes, were fixed on me once more. I don't know who he is or what he wants, but I do know this: he's not going away. And no matter where I go, no matter how far I run, he'll always be there, watching, waiting.